Speaking of self-awareness, and perhaps somewhat ironically, Esther, Prince Harry made an observation this week about weak moral character in the world. And while I agree with the notion, probably for very different reasons to Harry, I thought it was a bit of an odd thing to say. How do you think it landed?
Well, I think it landed probably where he expected it to land because just yesterday, President Trump, when he was being asked by a member of the Heritage Foundation, we know this is the think tank that has been pursuing its case to open or to make Harry's immigration documents public, because if he was seen to have lied about his drug use, as he alluded to in his book Spare, that could create a conflict of interest and actually say that he lied in his application to remain in the US. Anyway, President Trump, being ever as intuitive, said that he's not going to pursue a case of trying to deport Harry because he has enough problems with his wife, and I quote, "She's terrible." So, you hear all these subliminal messages about, weak moral character and all these kind of little digs that Harry and Meghan seem to think make them some sort of moral arbiters in our lost world. But it wasn't lost on President Trump, who rightly took a shot at Harry that I'm sure he and his wife were not expecting.
Now, back over in the UK, and Royal reporter Tom Quinn has just released a book called Yes Ma'am, revealing anonymous accounts from palace insiders. Now, here's one insight from the book. One former servant recalled how Prince Andrew insisted on a member of staff being transferred because he disliked the mole on the man's face. Another spoke of the time Andrew moved a man to other duties for wearing, of all things, a nylon tie. Esther, what were the highlights in this book for you?
Certainly, the allegations or revelations about Prince Andrew's behaviour, which is unsurprising. He's probably one of the only members of the royal family that has consistently had negative reviews from members of the public that have come into contact with him. He's regularly referred to as arrogant, as out of touch, as very condescending. I mean, I've heard it from all sorts, from members of the Royal Air Force that have flown him in helicopters where he's tried to change the destination at the last minute and all sorts of things. He seems very pompous. The revelation that Prince William, when he first started dating Princess Catherine, told her she looks like she got dressed in a charity shop and was wearing clothes from a charity shop because she was wearing an interesting combination of clothes. The revelation that people had about Meghan, that she expected the billionaire and the glitz and glam of the royal family, and instead got a millionaire minus the castles. And unfortunately, she had to basically open schools in Wales on a very wet and rainy day, which kind of contrasted to what they seemed to see was her view of the royal family, which was all glitz and glam. So there's these kind of interesting revelations about what people see about the current members of the royal family, really from sort of an outside lens, because it's these are people that they're working with and they're getting to know on a daily basis. But certainly the standout is probably the consistently negative reviews of Prince Andrew and his questionable character.
Which also don't surprise most of us. Now, onto a piece in The Guardian, which I think is worth delving into. And Lord Fawkes, well, he believes that UK royals should no longer be shielded from parliamentary scrutiny. Esther, can you explain to us what the usual protocol is here, and why has this now become a matter in issue?
So this has become quite a story in the UK following a series a documentary that was released by Channel 4, which looked into the finances of the King Charles, and his son Prince William, and it kind of caused a bit of a stir here in the UK because it was quite tongue in cheek, it was quite unexpected. We don't usually delve into particularly the finances of the royal family. It's kind of seen as a bit of a no-go area, particularly for the British media, especially if you want a quick way to not be on the royal family roster when it comes to events and all of that. But you have a Lord sitting in the House of Lords saying actually there should be greater parliamentary scrutiny, public scrutiny of the family's finances, how much taxes they pay, what a lot of the income that they get goes to. I mean, we often hear that, the royal family is a huge driver of tourism here in the UK, which is true. But, this idea that they're kind of completely removed from the parliamentary process and the public shouldn't have easy access to scrutinise their finances is something that has become a bit of a hot topic. I'm not sure how far it will go, though, because most people know that the royal family are very wealthy. That's not a secret. And the question is, to what end? Many people are concerned that this is just going to fuel Republican fears, and there are going to be all sorts of numbers plucked out of thin air that paints the royal family in a different light. It could be Brexit 2.0, where you could just see a bunch of figures being slung at each other, creating different narratives that may not actually be reflective of the truth.
Well, it'll be interesting to see where that goes. Thank you so much, Esther Krakue.